What is going on, people? Yes, it is I in the flesh. After a long hiatus, I am here. I am Baby Moy, of course, representing the ENT Hooligans crew. And before we get things started, I just want to ask you guys for forgiveness for taking such a long break. But I am back, and we are back. Although the crew isn't here with me at the moment, they will be on hand this coming Tuesday. So you want to keep your eyes and ears open and alert, because we will be back with an episode of Sports Vista meets Endless Possibilities. A lot of goodies coming at you, so stay tuned for that, folks. And as always, I want to thank you guys for sticking with us, even though we took forever. But we are here, y'all. And I also want to encourage you guys to follow us on social media, on Twitter, on Facebook. And beyond that, I guess there's no more to say other than this is Royal Rumble weekend. Are you excited? I know I am, folks. It's Royal Rumble weekend. And not only that, it's also NXT TakeOver Phoenix. And I'm going to go over with you in terms of the match card and my predictions and who I think is going to win in regards to TakeOver and the Royal Rumble. So stay tuned, coming up in a matter of seconds. I hope you guys can recognize the theme playing in the background. That is the old school Royal Rumble theme, even though I didn't want a chance playing the original one because I could get flagged by YouTube, and we don't want that. So, with that said, let's get to my predictions. And let's start off with NXT TakeOver Phoenix! Start from the bottom of the card here. We have Matt Riddle versus Cassius. Oh no. That should very appropriately and properly open up the night. I think they're going to have a solid match. I'm predicting anywhere between 10 and 12 minute match. 15 the most. And I see absolutely, positively, Matt Riddle coming on top. So, better than their previous bouts in terms of their NXT TakeOver showings. I don't see a squash happening here. I see Cassius Ohno holding his own, and I see him actually putting on a tremendous matchup to open up the night to get the crowd excited and into the festivities that will precede the rest of the evening. With that said, for the NXT North American Championship, we have Ricochet taking on Johnny Gargano with the strap on the line. Who do I think will take this? Well, there's plenty of directions I can go with this. I can either say that Ricochet wins, or I can say that Johnny Gargano wins. Now, let's just leave that pending for the time being. I will come back to this match. Now, we have War Raiders versus Undisputed Era for the Tag Team Championships. Who do I see winning this? I see Undisputed Era retaining to possibly lead into a rematch at NXT TakeOver New York come WrestleMania weekend, in which I will be going to Saturday's Ring of Honor and NJPW Supercard, or G1 Supercard, may I reiterate that. And with that said, though, I know it's irrelevant to the cause, but I figured I'd throw that in there. So if anyone else is going, I'd love to know. But Undisputed Era versus War Raiders, or War Machine, as some of us know them by. Like I said, I see Undisputed Era winning and setting up a rematch of sort come NXT TakeOver New York. Obviously, War Raiders will have to go back to the back of the line and fight for their spot to once again recapture #1 contenderships to fight for those belts. Now we have Shayna Baszler taking on Bianca Belair. She's undefeated. My girlfriend does that better than I do, so I'll leave that one up to her next time. I totally botched that one, but it's alright. You're not here to listen to me botch or succeed in regards to impersonations, but I think it's too early right now to have Bianca Belair win the title. Again, kind of the same situation as War Raiders, even though War Raiders have had a longer tenure in NXT. So if they do happen to win come tomorrow evening, I wouldn't mind that, but I think it's better to hold off and then give them the incredible rub WrestleMania weekend. But in terms of Bianca Belair, I think we could hold off on her for the time being. Keep the belt on Shayna Baszler. Now, Tommaso Ciampa versus Aleister Black. I'm not going to go over the historical here in regards to Aleister Black, Tommaso Ciampa, and Johnny Gargano. I told you guys I was going to come back to that match. So, Johnny Gargano and Ricochet, Tommaso Ciampa and Aleister Black. How does it all correlate? How does it all come together to basically form one happy marriage? If you guys saw the end of NXT this past weekend, they basically teased a reunion between Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. Now, if I am to guess at what's going to happen here or play booking, like I said, this could go either one of two ways. Ricochet could either win the belt and then somehow, for whatever reason, inject himself in the other title matchup between Tommaso Ciampa and Aleister Black, and causing Aleister Black to lose the match. Thus, Tommaso Ciampa retains. That way, they're both champions, thus reuniting what used to be. Now, with that said, this could also go in a sense of probably Johnny Gargano losing, okay, Ricochet retaining. Either way, Gargano injects himself in the main event championship matchup, and he causes Aleister Black to win, and thus they still reunite, but somewhere along the line, right? Somewhere along the line, I'm not sure when or how deep in the program, but maybe, just maybe, Johnny Gargano does something to piss Tommaso Ciampa off, thus setting another feud between them. Because let's not forget this: Johnny Gargano's motive since the beginning of the year has been winning and winning championships, right? So how appropriate, how apropos would it be for the conclusion of what's been an outstanding feud between Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa? How awesome that would be for all of it to culminate at WrestleMania weekend. Think about that. I would have no problem with that at all, but let's wait and see what happens. And now, it's time for my Royal Rumble predictions. Let's start from the bottom of the nest. We have the pre-show, which will take a span of 2 hours. before the main show kicks off. And in that pre-show, we have Rusev taking on Shinsuke Nakamura. I'm going to speed through this one. I see Rusev retaining, not important. Feel bad for Nakamura given the fact that last year he won the Royal Rumble, and now look at where he is. Should his contract expire, which it will, it's not even a matter of should, because all contracts do expire. It'll be interesting to see if he jumps to AEW, but let's wait and see what happens. We have a fatal 4-way for the Cruiserweight Championship, and Hideo Itami, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that he wins this one. So, there goes that. Even though I feel that they could have a solid showing on the main show, but oh well, whatever. I'm not booking this one. I do wish that 205 Live were treated better, but we'll wait and see what happens in regards to WWE trying to keep their talent. Now we move on to the main card. We have, for the Tag Team Championships, SmackDown side of things that is, we have Shane McMahon and Miz taking on Sheamus and Cesaro of The Bar. Who do I see going on top? Honestly, I could see Sheamus. No. Let me retract on that. I could see Shane McMahon and Miz winning the tag team titles, and somewhere down the line, maybe not at Elimination Chamber, but at Roadblock, I believe, in March, or at the tail end of February. Let's say it's Roadblock. If I'm wrong, please correct me down on the comments below, but Roadblock, I see something going down between Shane McMahon and Miz, where one or the other costs the championship, and thus beginning the feud between Shane McMahon and Miz going into WrestleMania. Now, we move on to, I believe we move on to the good stuff here. Yes, we move on to the good stuff. So let's go to the women first. Becky Lynch taking on Asuka. This could go either or. However, let's stick with the assumption that Becky Lynch wins the bet. And we'll come back to that. Next up, we have Ronda Rousey taking on... Oh crap. Taking on Sasha. I'm sorry about that, folks. I had to think about that. Now, the way that Sasha's been built going into this, she's looked very strong. Whereas Ronda Rousey has been apologetic. I don't know why, as opposed to her character being a badass. She's been apologetic. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean blah, blah, blah. I didn't mean to say that. No. I don't think that's how you build Ronda Rousey, especially when she's taking on a contender with the prowess and with the what's the word I'm looking for? With the ethnicity, or not ethnicity. With the oh my gosh, what's that word I'm looking for, man? Don't you hate when that happens, guys? With the amount of work that Sasha Banks has put in, if you look at her trajectory from her early NXT days, now obviously she's been in a slump in regards to the main roster, but still you cannot ignore her body of work. That's what I was looking for, body of work. So you cannot have somebody look as weak as Ronda Rousey coming into this program with the Sasha Banks, because it takes a little bit of credibility away from you, especially if your persona is trying to be one of a tough badass in Ronda Rousey, even though I believe that Ronda Rousey shouldn't be given any sort of mic time. She's just terrible in terms of her promo work. I don't like it. But I digress. I believe that most likely, Sasha Banks will not win the title. I think that Ronda Rousey will retain, even though we will come back to that as well. Next, we have AJ Styles taking on, as Solomonster referred to him, Captain Planet. Big up, Solomonster. They're going to have a phenomenal match, no pun intended. As always, they're going to tear that house down. I see Daniel Bryan going over. I don't see AJ Styles winning this. But we'll see. We'll wait and see what happens. Then we have Brock Lesnar taking on Finn Balor. I would love to see Finn Balor win it. Finn Balor has confirmed that he's not going to show up as the Demon, even though he could be trolling us. You never know. But I see Brock Lesnar retaining the belt, even though all things are scheduled to change, because originally Braun Strowman wasn't slated to be in the main event in regards to the title picture at the Royal Rumble. So even though they penciled his name in, he was never intended to be there in the first place. However, with that said, their reasoning for that was, we do not want Braun Strowman to take another L at the hands of Brock Lesnar. Which, when you pencil in somebody like Finn Balor, who's obviously a fan favorite among many people, one could think and look at that statement and say, okay, so they're going to feed Finn Balor to Brock. Now, I could look at it this way as well. I could look at it from the perspective of Finn Balor has been unhappy with the company, and what if WWE does end up giving Finn the title for the sake of keeping him happy, so that way he doesn't sign with AEW? Even though my prediction stands, I think Brock will win. Now let's go to the Rumble, the Men's Royal Rumble. It's easy to say that Seth Rollins is going to win and challenge Brock Lesnar, which is conclusive, which is what I predict. But let's play around with some ideas. What if AJ Styles injects himself in the Royal Rumble match, wins it, and challenges Brock Lesnar? I'd like to see that again, as they had a pending Survivor Series matchup, but it never happened. Daniel Bryan won the belt from AJ and was selected, obviously, as Daniel Bryan was the champion versus champion, so he had the luck of the draw of having a great match against Brock. So what a story that would be for AJ Styles. Or what about this idea? What about a unexpected somebody, anybody, I don't know, somebody like Wouldn't it be something if, and I know I'm going out on a huge limb here, but what if Matt Riddle is in the Rumble and he wins it? I know the possibility of that happening is slim to none. Very, very slim to none. But all things are subject to happen, and all things are subject to change. But my pick remains, I'm going Seth Rollins, and he will challenge Brock Lesnar, even though I would love to see AJ Styles. But we'll wait. Now, the Women's Royal Rumble. I could look at this and say Charlotte wins. I could look at this, and let's go back to Becky versus Asuka. I could go look at that match and say Becky Lynch loses against Asuka and wins the Royal Rumble. We could also look at it from the perspective of Ronda Rousey loses to Sasha, which I don't see happening. What if Ronda wins the Rumble, challenges Becky, who ends up winning against Asuka, and then somehow you find a way to position Charlotte to make that a triple threat at WrestleMania? There's a lot of ways you could go with this. Or what about this possibility? What if you have neither Becky Lynch or Charlotte win the Rumble? What if Ronda Rousey causes them both their matches, and from that alone, you get a matchup at WrestleMania? Or you can have it so that Ronda Rousey doesn't retain the belt, Becky Lynch doesn't win the belt, Charlotte doesn't win the Rumble, but somehow you have it so that, I don't know, maybe by some sort of an executive decision, Ronda Rousey is pulled over to SmackDown and we have a program there, even though that one I absolutely do not see happening. Out of everything that's going through my head right now, that's the one that I hope doesn't happen. That one is the one that makes the least sense, but I'm just throwing it out there just because. Give you guys something to play with. But Ronda Rousey causing both Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair their matches. Wouldn't that be something? Which brings the question then, who would end up winning the Royal Rumble? Well, we could look at Ember Moon winning the Rumble, and she could challenge Asuka. That'd be dope. You know, they did it once they did it plenty times down at NXT. So why not put them main roster, front and center, WrestleMania for the belt? Right? Either way, I'm gonna play it safe here and say that Becky Lynch loses to Asuka, becomes an entry in the Royal Rumble, and wins the whole thing. And for sweet redemption, she eliminates what's her face? What the hell's her name? She's so relevant yet irrelevant that I can't even remember her name at this point. Nia Jax. I always have trouble remembering her name for some reason. You can ask those who know me personally. Sweet revenge for Becky Lynch. They're the last two, and she ends up eliminating Nia Jax. and then points at the WrestleMania sign and decides to challenge Ronda Rousey. And again, somehow you find a way to catapult Charlotte in the mix of things. But anyway, folks, I'll leave you with those thoughts. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. I would love to know your thoughts. I would love to see what you guys come up with creatively for this year's Royal Rumble and NXT TakeOver cards. It's going to be a hell of a weekend, y'all. I hope you guys enjoy, party, drink responsibly, but as I like to say, stay tuned, stay alert, and in everything that you do, keep God number one in your lives always. Thank you guys for subscribing. Have a beautiful weekend. Let's do this thing. I'll take you out with this classic Royal Rumble theme. Oh, remember, we're back on Tuesday, folks. The whole deck of cards. And how could I forget? How could I forget?